This is Monica Novak, and I am putting up finally my first podcast. Super excited. I'm super excited because I have been wanting to share my story for so long. So I've really been wanting to share my story probably within the last couple of years. I attend a church and they have this cool thing called the Blessed Practices. And the very last S is called Share Your Story. Well, during the time this was coming out, I was battling something pretty crazy and it was really taking a toll on my life. And all of a sudden they start talking about this blessed practice and the last S, share your story. It got me. I'm like, okay, God, I know that I am going through this because you want to use my situation so that I can share my story, so that I can help others through my story. And I remember, going up to my friend and praying with her. And I said, I'm going through a really hard time right now. Why? Why am I going through this? And I said, there's got to be a reason that I'm going through this. And the only thing I can think of is the fact that God is going to use this so that I can help others through my story and through my battles. And then in November of 2021, the church had a women's event that I attended, and it was amazing. It was 3 women on tour, and they call their tour Own the Light. And they share their stories. And the purpose for them to share their story is so that they can help others through their story. They wanted women to own the light. It was amazing. I loved it. And but they got me thinking. My story needs to be heard so that I can help others and provide hope through my story. And I am so excited. I'm so excited. You guys are going to hear everything. There is not going to be anything I'm going to keep away from you because I'm just so ready to be open about so much. People ask me all the time, what was your life like? And when they hear about a situation, they want to know. And for a long time, I didn't really want to tell people. I really didn't because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was worried about being judged. I was worried about not fitting in this world. But to be honest with you, it needs to be said. I feel like it's therapy for me to share. And it's therapy for me to share and to know that someone, even if it's just one person, is going to be healed from it, or my story is going to provide hope for them. And to be honest with you, that's really what it's all about. That's really what I want to do. That's my number one goal. But I didn't get by, and I didn't heal, and I didn't survive on my own. I did it by faith And I did it by taking that step and surrendering my life to God. And that is how I got to this place of peace and serenity. And I'm not saying that my life is perfect. I'm not saying that I still don't go through storms. But I know how to handle it now, and I don't handle it through my own flesh. I handle it with Jesus on my side. You know, it's crazy because people want to know. They want to know my history. They want to know my right now. I'm always asked questions because my life is kind of interesting. So I was raised by a single father. My mom and my dad split up when I was 6 years old. They had a relationship that was very unhealthy. My mom and dad did drugs together, and their drug of choice was heroin. And my brother was actually born addicted, and he spent 3 months in an incubator. And then he was taken away by the state, and my dad worked really hard to get him back, but he was still in foster care for a year. So I was raised in a single family household, and it was my dad who took that responsibility. And it was just my brother and sister and I. But the way we were raised, it was good and it was bad. So, you know, my dad always made sure we had a roof over our head, food, and we had clean clothes, and our house was immaculate. But we did have to deal with like some abuse. But it wasn't so much abuse towards us. It was abuse towards my brother. And it was pretty bad. And my dad was an alcoholic. So we kind of grew up in a dysfunctional home. My dad did show us love. But I don't know, it's just kind of weird because, I mean, when I talk about my dad now, I talk about how much I love him and he was great. But there was definitely some dysfunction in our home. And it was more towards my brother. And my dad's passed now. He passed away back in 2010, and he actually died from alcoholism. But, you know, I have some good memories with my dad. But when I do think about the things that went on with my brother growing up, it still traumatizes me. But I've learned to work through that trauma. So my dad kind of raised me. He was really strict. So I kind of left the path that I guess I was supposed to take. You know, I ran away from home when I was 15. I was in and out of juvie all the time. And sometimes when I would get caught, they would send me to like a 24-hour holding. It was just like a house. It wasn't really a jail. But I would run away from that. And I just never wanted to be home. It was just not fun sometimes, you know? Then I got pregnant when I was 16. My dad kicked me out of the house all the time. I've had some battles for sure. I have 10 children now by 6 different fathers. And, you know, people always ask me when they hear that I have 10 kids, are they all from the same dad? And a long time ago, you know, Well, my youngest is 7 now. So, even when I had 7 or 8 kids, that was still a shocker to people. So I would always get that question, are they all from the same dad? And for a long time, my answer was yes. Yes, they are. Because I didn't feel like going into detail about every single relationship that I was involved with and how ungreat it was, So I lied. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I felt as if I was truthful with that answer. I would be judged. And I consider myself to be, pretty smart. But I felt like people would look at me differently. And so I battled that for a long time until now. And I definitely want to go into more depth of that story. Or those stories, I should say. But I have been in pretty terrible custody battles. 2, to be exact. Most of the fathers of my children are not involved in their lives. But I have been in the courtroom with 2 of them, and they were terrible custody battles. I've also been on trial for a criminal case. I have battled bulimia. And I've been married 3 times. I've been homeless. I've lived in shelters. I have gone through this life without any family support because I really don't have a whole lot of family. My mom's side of the family, I was never really connected with because I wasn't raised with them. My dad's side of the family, there's plenty of members of our family, but my dad kind of kept us a little secluded. So I don't really know a whole lot of my dad's side of the family. So I didn't have the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and the great aunts and the great uncles and the whatever other members are usually involved in a family. I didn't have that. I had grandparents on my dad's side of the family. And we were really close. I have a lot of good memories with them. But it wasn't something that was too cozy, I guess. I don't have the stories that some grandkids have with their grandparents, I guess you could say. But I'm here and I have my 10 beautiful children and they're all doing well. And even though I dropped out of high school, I did finish my education. I just got my GED in 2021. That's been quite the journey and the story. But I have a pretty good career and man, I've done a lot and I know a lot of tricks. But the one thing that I do have to say is, man, God really pulled me through. He is the reason I am here and why I've stayed motivated and why I've kept chugging along. Because he gave me the strength and the courage to get through it all. And I just want to share